We are on Sheviit Perek Chet Mishnah Yud Aleph, the last Mishnah in Perek Chet of Sheviit. So we've learned that you're only allowed to use produce of Sheviit for things that are beneficial for a person, for his physical body, i.e. for food, for drink, and for sicha, for anointing. Now, can I use, what about, we're going to see, the Mishnah is going to talk about teven or kash, straw or hay. Can I use those in order to warm up the water to wash with? Says the Mishnah. Merchatz shuska beteven o bekash. If I have a merchatz, a bathhouse that was huska, it was warmed, i.e. they used teven or kash of Sheviit, shel Sheviit. They used Sheviit, teven or kash, straw or hay, and they used it to burn in order to warm up the water so that I could go to the merchatz. So now, is that an appropriate use of Sheviit produce? Now you'll say you don't eat Sheviit produce, but the answer is that it's something that animals eat. So let's go, in order to really understand this, we have to go to the very beginning of our parak. The Bartiner is going to allude to it. So let's go all the way back to Aleph, okay? The Klal Gadol Amud B'Shviit. This is a great rule. If it's designated for human consumption, then you can't use it for physical, for bodily pleasure. It's certainly not for behemah. But if it's not for human consumption, then you can make a melugma, which remember we said was like a compress. It was like it was a bandage that a person would use that wasn't really life-threatening. So now the question is like this. So hay and straw of Sheviit, let's go back to our Mishnah. Hay and straw of Sheviit are machal behema. They are clearly machal behema. Would I say that using it in order to warm up the water from my bathhouse is similar to the melugma that I'm allowed to do? So it says the Mishnah, mutar l'chotzba. In this case, mutar l'chotzba, you're allowed to wash in the merchatz. Doesn't sound like litchachila you're allowed to, the bathhouse guy is permitted. Let's see the Bartuna. Mutar. Aval gav deteven kalchash shel kashishit asur kiditam dekaman. So that's what the Rash says. Ulashon husak b'di aved kamar. It sounds like husak b'di aved. But he says it's a little unclear. This is the Tosfot Yontif we're looking at. V'od yesh lomar, but you could say the lechatchila nami mutar la'achirtzba. Maybe you could say you're allowed to. Mishum detzarach adamhu. Ugedinan gabi milugman. That's what the Kesef Mishnah says. So it's a machloket. Some say that it means husak, that b'di avad you're allowed to do it. Lechatchila you're not supposed to do it. Okay. Nonetheless, b'di avad you are allowed to do it. So we have it's an important point because there's another Mishnah later on. Perek Tet Mishnah Zayin. Okay. Which asks the following question. When are you allowed to burn tevet and kash? So there's a certain point after which you're allowed to burn tevet and kash shashvit. And there the Bartiner says, Distam tevet v'kash chazi l'machal behema. It's edible for machal behema v'yesh bo kedushat shvi'it. And it says v'asur l'sarfo l'heinot, but you can't burn it in benefit. Mishum dedarshinan. Le'ochla v'lo lehafseid. You can eat it, but you can't destroy it. So we have two seemingly contradictory Mishnayot. We have a Mishnah in Perek Chet that seems to imply that I could use machal behema for my personal benefit. But then we have a more explicit Mishnah which seems to indicate, I'm going from one place to the other. We have a more explicit Mishnah that seems to indicate, it says you're not allowed to burn tevet and kash. So therefore, our Mishnah seems to be b'di'aved. Mutar l'chozba. If the guy did it, then mutar l'chozba, which seems to indicate l'chatchila you're not. So you have, and that's why you have two different commentators saying that it's possible to interpret it. That means l'chatchila you can, mutar l'chozba, and even l'chatchila you could do it. Or another interpretation would be saying b'di'avad you couldn't. The Mishnah continues. V'imit chashevu harezeh lo yirchotz. V'imit chashevu means if he is a significant, important person, harezeh lo yirchotz, and he shouldn't go to the bathhouse. Why? Let's look at the Bar Tanura. Imi chashevu, im adam chashuvu. He's an important person. Shemanei adam lemeni mimenu, that people learn from him. Sarich la'achmir al atzma. He has to be machmir. It's a very interesting thing that normally it's mutar. The Mishnah said it's mutar. If the guy did it, mutar. Okay? But if you're an important person that people are learning from you, then harezeh lo yirchotz, and you probably shouldn't go there because then everybody's going to think, well, that maybe they'll think that because you went and lechatchila, that the guy's allowed to use the bathhouse. Now it's interesting. The Kahati quotes a machloket between the Rambam and the Ra'avad. The Rambam says in this Mishnah, okay, that mutar lichutzba bischar. You can even pay to go to this bathhouse. And it would make sense because the standard bathhouse, they would pay. The Ravad says, no, you can't pay because if you pay, then you're paying for Sheviit consumption, which in an inappropriate way. You're doing business with Sheviit. So he says, therefore, mutar lichutzba, only for free. And therefore, according to this explanation, when it says, if he's an important person, he shouldn't go there even for free because, there's a certain, if an important person goes to the bathhouse, it's going to add on. It adds value to the bathhouse guy. It makes it into schora. Whereas the Rambam says, if he's an important person, lo yichotz. Why? He says, because he's going to add on, maybe they're going to burn things for his honor that are re'uyin l'machal. Let's say he has like dill plants there, and he's going to burn the dill to make a pleasant scent, and that would be a waste of Sheviit food. Okay, so when we end up with just a review, we had a Mishnah that says, the mirchatz shuska b'teven ukashel Sheviit mutar lichotzba. We had two different Mishnayot. The one in Perek Chet, the beginning of Perek Chet, implied that you could use teven and kashel Sheviit. You're allowed to use animal food for a physical pleasure, i.e. the bandage. But then we have a Mishnah later in Perek Chet, which seems explicitly clear that you can't burn teven and kash, which would seem to imply that, like this Mishnah says, that this permissibility is only b'di'evet. If the bathhouse guy burned it already, then mutar lichutzba. But lechatchila, you couldn't. And obviously, as we learned, the Kesef Mishnah disagrees and says that the mutar lichutzba and even mutar lahasikba, you're even allowed to burn it lechatchila. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to contact me at arspolter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.